Welcome in to the You Like That Feels Great Baby podcast. It's myself, Eric Stenholm, diehard Vikings fan, and my co-host Joey Moore, diehard 49ers fan. We're going to recap the events of week 8. We're going to talk about what's coming up in week 9. We are huge NFL fans. We go over the games each week. We release it on Sundays. We guess the lines for next week. We talk about what we saw this week. We give the state of the teams for the 49ers and Vikings. Take a quick whip around the league, and then we'll finish with my You Like That 5 best picks of the week. We'll throw it over to Joey for his feels great baby, his wildest take that he feels best about at the moment. We're going to start this week, obviously, with the 49ers blowing the doors off of the Rams in the second half of that game today. I was taking some notes on the game, and I was like, God, I don't know. It's Jimmy in that first half. I'm like, what is the ceiling for this team? And then, boom, second half. Different story. And your notes for the game that I saw on our little spreadsheet that we put together, all it says is simply bang, bang, Niner gang. How we doing over there, Joey?
Yeah, Eric, thank you. Feels great, baby. Same as last week. 14-13 last week. This week, 14-10. Biggest difference is we weren't playing the Chiefs. So this week we got the pass rush going. Nick Bosa had a sack. We stopped the screen game. They killed us in the first half with the screens.
Mm-hmm.
This week, screen game stopped in the second half. Got the pass rush going, and Christian McCaffrey with an extra week of prep. What a monster! 3 touchdowns. Just when Jimmy Garoppolo's not getting the job done, I don't know. Maybe throw Christian McCaffrey back there. Touchdown pass, touchdown catch, touchdown run. After 1 week, hot take, he was worth it. We'll see if he stays healthy, but boy, was he good today.
Stanford man appeared to have studied for the last week. Buried his nose in the playbook. Absolutely dominating. I saw it was the first time since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005 that someone threw, caught, and ran for a touchdown in the same game. And that's his first, real full game as a Niner. You got to be thinking, oh, man, we're 4-4, but the trajectory is up.
We needed him. No Kyle Juszczyk, broken finger. No Deebo Samuel, hamstring. Offense was compromised. Even with those guys, we weren't scoring. And I also saw that stat. To improve on that stat, LaDainian Tomlinson was the last one. I believe the only 2 other guys were David Patton from the Patriots and Walter Payton. If you ever heard of him, he was pretty good. Named an award after him. Not bad. Only 4 guys. But yeah, it's Elijah Mitchell should be coming back after the bye next week. Apparently, we've put Jeff Wilson Jr. on the trade block. I really like him, especially considering our running backs get hurt a lot. I'd like to, possibly keep him, depending on what we could get for him, which I don't think would be what we got for what we traded for McCaffrey. Just a hot take there.
Yeah.
But the most impressive part of McCaffrey today was I believe his receiving. I mean, you trade all that for a running back, but I never really looked at the trade like it was for a running back. Especially years into his contract, way down the line years from now. I mean, he's arguably already the second best pure receiver on the team behind Ayuk. I would even say he's better than Deebo as strictly as a receiver, but
which is insane to think that. Yeah, his catch on Jimmy's pass into the corner of the end zone was like a totally broken play. Jimmy just tosses it up. I thought that was a really impressive play where McCaffrey just kind of broke from the defender and said, hey, I can get to the corner of the end zone. Jimmy put it there. And that's a catch that I would say almost every running back does not make. So huge play for the Niners there. And then the defense looked great in the second half. Stafford was getting the absolute shit kicked out of him. And not necessarily a Stafford guy over here, so it was kind of nice to watch.
Nope, not a big Matthew Stafford fan club podcast, but like you said, I was disappointed in the fact that we didn't get pressure in the first half. Believe no sacks, no hits, nothing. They were killing us again. Like I said, with the screen game, it's like McVay knew that the pass rush was going to get there. His O-line wasn't gonna hold up, and they were running screens to Kupp, to Higbee, to whatever running back they had in there, not named Cam Akers. Shout out to the Cam Akers on my fantasy team. Had to drop him.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, good for him.
On the milk carton officially.
Hopefully he figures out his personal, reasons, but whatever. Yeah, I think we had no pass rush in the first half. It feels like they were getting 4 or 5 yards a carry. Jimmy Ward was struggling big time against Cooper Kupp in the slot. We're severely missing Emmanuel Mosley.
Mm-hmm.
Travarius Ward has been hurt, got hurt in the first half and came back. But it was a big drive at the end of the first half to get 3. Luckily that McCaffrey fumble wasn't, and we recovered that one, but we're able to get 3, make it 14-10, got the ball, and yeah.
And then the second half was just utter domination. The Niners moved to a game ahead of the Cardinals in the standings because the Vikings won 34-26. Joey leading the Skull chant. Anytime he gets to see Kyler Murray lose, it's just a privilege. He must have texted me Skull 9 times today during the game. Found a nice online stream to watch that one. I was of course following a little bit more intently than Joey. Kirk Cousins' long rushing touchdown in the first quarter, pretty surprising. I hadn't seen him turn the corner on anybody in his 4+ seasons in Minnesota. I saw him turn the corner. I was like, this guy is going to get lit up. And for whatever reason, he made it to the pylon. Vikings take the lead. I thought it was yet another great game for Justin Jefferson. He didn't exactly light up the stat sheet, but he's commanding doubles basically every time. It left Thielen open a lot. It left both of the tight ends open a lot. You can kind of start to see the formula here at 6-1, how this team is going to make a run in the playoffs. Patrick Peterson had a great game against his former team. I think if the Vikings can have Peterson, Dantzler, and then the rookie Booth as their 3 corners, and Harrison Smith can stay healthy at safety, the biggest weakness of the team is the secondary. And if they play like they did in the second half today, I can see it coming together. Obviously, a lot of these guys are getting old, Peterson and Smith especially, but the formula I saw today against, albeit not a great Cardinals team, but it is an 8-point win. They probably could have won by more. Stock is pointing up for the Vikings, especially because the Packers lost tonight on Sunday Night Football against Buffalo. 3.5 game lead plus the tiebreaker. I mean, it is the most positive time for Vikings fans since the Minneapolis Miracle in 2017. So things are looking good on this end. Let's throw it over to the Dolphins game. I thought that was pretty crazy watching that second half of that game. There was basically no defense being played. Your boy Mike McDaniel, again, with a masterclass on offense. I'm starting to believe in Miami as a contender. What are you thinking?
Oh, sorry, dude. I literally was hearing a Vikings highlight I was going to say something, and my video was playing a highlight of the Vikings game. And I'm like, is that you or is that me? Sorry. I want to edit. I had some takes on the Vikings Cardinals. All of a sudden, it was like Rondale Moore for a touchdown. I'm like, what is going on? And it was like, oh, I pulled up the box score of that game, and it was auto playing a video.
Oh, that sounds about right. That's ESPN for you.
Anyways, fired away. Sorry, I want to take on that.
So that was.
Turn that shit off.
Yeah, Vikes looked great. I'm feeling really good about the team. Stock is definitely pointing up. What did you see in that game today?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers. Kirk Cousins balled out today, 24 of 36, 232, 103 passer rating. You look at the defensive, you mentioned their secondary. I mean, but Zadarius Smith, 3 sacks today. Are you kidding me? Harrison Smith, I'm not an expert on Vikings football like you are, but I mean, Harrison Smith, Patrick Peterson, secondary Cam Dantzler should be good enough. I mean, Packers are terrible. We like that. Thank you very much. Yeah, Harrison Smith pick. Anytime
Yeah, I'm not worried
Kyler
about
Murray
the
takes
pass rush. I'm not worried about the pass rush at all. You mentioned Zadarius Smith. I mean, he was in the backfield the entire game, and that was only mostly because Daniil Hunter's getting doubled on almost every play. I kept watching. Zach Ertz was like almost uninvolved in the game. Because I mean, he did have a touchdown, but I think that may have been his only catch. He was getting chipped, or he was having to chip Daniil Hunter the whole game, and because of that, they couldn't help the side that had Zadarius Smith, and he was just all over the backfield the entire game. And I'm not worried about the pass rush or the run defense at all at this point in the season. It's just the secondary and then maybe the offensive line a little bit. But man, it's good to be a Vikings fan right now, which hasn't been the case since we went into San Francisco in the 2019 playoffs. So feeling good over here.
I mean, look at they ran the ball at 6 yards a carry.
Yeah, and Cook looks great. Madison
Cook,
might
20
even look
for
better.
111. Madison 5 for 40. Even Kirk, you like that? Cousins 4 for 22 with a touchdown. Like I said last week, it's weird to say your team is comfortable, but like I said, I'd put my life savings on a playoff game being at US Bank Stadium.
Oh,
Next
cannot
week.
wait. Can't wait, as Bart Scott once said. Let's take one quick look around the rest of the league before we get to your Jack and the Bum of the week and then our week 9 lines. Dolphins had a great game against the Lions, super high scoring game. Also, Carolina at Atlanta was just an absolutely nuts game with a Hail Mary and then a crazy penalty for taking off the helmet. Those were kind of the standout games of the morning. Your boy Mike McDaniel, man, I really think Miami is a contender in the AFC despite all this Tua craziness over the past few weeks with the concussions. They look absolutely unstoppable on offense today. And then I would say Atlanta actually looks pretty good. I came out of the morning games thinking those are two teams who before the season I didn't really have any thought of them being in a playoff game. And now the Dolphins in Atlanta, I mean, both looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, hey, as a Niner fan, Atlanta took it to us a couple weeks ago, ran the ball up and down the field. I would say they look pretty impressive, but Eddie Pinheiro, what are you doing, my guy? How about you? One of the 2 kicks. I know the penalty and the end of regulation, but missed one in overtime. PJ Walker threw for over 300 yards today.
Oof.
I
mean, that Hail Mary was probably the throw of the year so far.
It wasn't even close. It was like a route. He didn't even jump. Yep. It's just nothing.
Drop it in the bucket.
It was. And yeah, Mike McDaniel got the boys rolling again into Detroit. I know Detroit, what are they, 1-6? Again, I think we mentioned this last week. I was a big Dan Campbell guy. Their coaching staff, the GM, I came away like I think they're in the right direction, but the numbers don't lie, and they're 1-6.
That defense is a sieve. A disaster.
Not good. Not good. I 31-27, 14 in those looks 14-0 in the second half. They outscored them. Former Niner legend Mostert, solid game.
Yeah, solid game.
Tyreek had 12 for 188.
I mean, that's the thing is the connection with Tyreek and Waddle is like already off the charts, like 99 Kurt Warner to Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt level. Like these guys are putting up 180 every week. And so that's one thing I wanted to call out is Miami for me. That's probably the stock arrow pointing up the most right now, other than the Vikings and 49ers, of course. A couple other notes. The Bills just pummeled the Packers. The score was only a 10-point win, but if you watch the game, Green Bay was never in it, never even remotely close to being in it. Philly blew the doors off of Pittsburgh. Dallas blew the doors off of Chicago. I mean, right now, is it a formality at this point? Those are probably, and with Kansas City, who was on a bye. Bills, Chiefs, and then whoever comes out of the Eagles and Cowboys in the East looking like a pretty solid bet right now that the Super Bowl is going to have some combination of those four teams.
There's a significant gap in the AFC for sure behind Bills Chiefs. As much as I love Mike McDaniel, as much as I, think Joey B has got it. It's a 2-horse race in the AFC for sure. Might just come down to where that game is. Looks like it. I mean, if Buffalo can keep winning out, it might be in Buffalo. Bills Mafia might go nuts. Maybe that makes a difference instead of the AFC Invitational every year being held at Kansas City last 4 years. And Philly looks dominant. Their schedule says that the Philly has I'm not gonna say an easy route, but I mean they're looking like the clear favorites to not only win the division but get a 1 seed. I know Dallas is kind of right there, but Philly's already got the 1 win over Dallas. It's fair to say that's probably accurate.
Mm-hmm. We got to bring up the London game. Awful game, just atrocious game to watch. But Russell Wilson actually got a win. But I think the main storyline for me out of that game was his behavior on the flight over. I've never seen more TikToks and Instagram reels about something that's completely unrelated to football as I have with the whole Russell Wilson on the plane this week. What a clown. Like, what is he doing?
I feel like I'm watching a movie and I haven't been told like it's not real yet. I really wanted to come on here and just bag on Russell Wilson, but he did look better than he has recently, and they did get a win. So all is happy in Broncos country. So let's ride. Mm-hmm. But the high knees on the plane, it's not even the high knees on the plane. It's he let them know about it. For those who
didn't see it, this is the problem for me. He claimed to the media after he landed in London that he was doing high knees and stretching in the aisles for 4 hours on the plane as everybody else was sleeping. And he said it. It's like a direct quote in the media. He goes, "Yeah, I was doing my high knees. I was getting ready in the aisles while everybody else was sleeping." What do his teammates think of this guy?
He had to win today. He just had to. There's no ifs and buts about it. What he did on the plane, if he really did for 4 hours of high knees, stretching, whatever he's in the aisle while people are sleeping, that is borderline criminal. I've been on a plane. I've been in the aisle seat. There's barely enough to fit a human being walking to the bathroom in the aisles. I know they're flying private. I know they're flying in the absolute first class planes in the world, but that is ridiculous. And between the 4 hours of high knees, the 8 hours of finger exercises last year, the fake drive on Sunday Night Football when he wasn't playing, it just feels like he's always got to let the media, the people know what he's doing. Like, hey, look at me. Look how hard I'm working. If things go wrong, you'll know that I was working hard. And it's like, no one cares, Russ. No one cares. Like, just throw the passes to your own team, move the chains, score touchdowns in the red zone. And he did that today. I hate to say it, as a Niner fan who's just not a huge fan of Russ with Seattle, he
had to have that one. At the end of
the second half, at the end of the first half and the early second half, and at the end of the game, he put drives together when he had to and beat Jacksonville, and I thought the Jaguars would be better than what they are, but we'll get to that later.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor,
one last thing before we get to your Jack and the Bum of the week. Maybe the only guy who had a worse week in the media than Russell Wilson would be Tom Brady. Announced his divorce from Gisele Bündchen, lost on Thursday. You texted me right as the game ended. Is he crying on the sideline? It really looked like it. It was not a horrendous loss like the Carolina game, but again, a game that they probably could have won fell apart in so many different ways at the end. I mean, is this his Michael Jordan Wizard season? It really is feeling like it. Like, what is he
It
doing
feels
still playing?
exactly. It's honestly hard to watch. You're a Vikings fan in the NFC. I'm a Niner fan in the NFC. Like, you get down to the end of the season, both our teams are probably battling a wild card spot with Tampa. God forbid the powerhouse Carolina Panthers or Atlanta Falcons wins that NFC South.
Mm.
He looks miserable. And it's hard to watch. He doesn't look that bad, but his numbers are okay. Just again, it's the body language. It's the
He doesn't want to be there.
It wasn't a bad loss, but it's a loss. And they're 3-5, and there's no way he lost his wife and kids to be 3-5. There's just no way.
It's an ongoing drama. I feel like it's going to be this way the rest of the season. They got the Rams coming to town next week. Then they go to Munich to play the Seahawks in a game that when I saw it on the schedule, I was like, W for Tampa. Not anymore. Seattle looks really good. My brother is a huge Seahawks fan. He's thrilled with that. We'll get to that later. We're going to throw it over to you, Joey, for your Jack and the Bum of the week. Obviously, a ton of candidates this week. Your boy Kyler Murray with some key picks to give the Vikings the game. Derek Carr, for me, was one of the candidates here. The Raiders were lifeless at New Orleans. And then, of course, your honorable cousin, DJ Moore, with the unbelievable Hail Mary catch. Then he takes off his helmet, 15-yard penalty, PAT is missed, and Carolina ends up losing. But you're going in a completely different direction for your Jack and the Bum of the week.
Thank you, Eric. Yes, Jack and the Bum of the week. Again, thank you for the fans last week for listening to our Jack and the Bum of the week. Still haven't heard from Jack in the Box, but we'll get there. A lot of great candidates. You just said number one, Kyler Murray, very well could have been the Bum of the week. He could be the Bum of every week, but especially the week Call of Duty comes out. But my Jack and the Bum of the week is none other than Sunshine himself,
Ooh.
Trevor Lawrence.
Sunshine.
And being a Niner fan, one of the most, I'd say, most discussed, talked about things of the Kyle Shanahan era was the trade up to number 3 for Trey Lance. And that draft, what do we hear? Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Well, I don't hate to be a world beater, but they might all just suck. All of them.
All of them.
And Trevor Lawrence was the one that we all thought was foolproof. And no one's saying it. We all kind of gave him a pass last year for Urban Meyer. No arguments there. Kind of a dumpster fire with him, but you got Doug Peterson, Super Bowl champ. What are you now? 2-6 after starting 2-1 today. I know Denver is a good defense, but you're 18 of 31 for only 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. One was terrible at the goal line. Your passer rating was 52.2. Like, if we're gonna bag on Mac Jones for Bailey, let's be Zappy and Trey Lance and Justin Fields, it all looks terrible. Zach Wilson, hide your mom. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence, it's bad. It's very bad.
Yeah.
And for being
it's under discussed right now. Everybody wants to bag on Fields, and I actually think he's been pretty good the last couple of weeks. Everybody wants to bag on Wilson. I don't really think he's working with a lot, but he has been awful. We just completely gloss over the fact that there hasn't been a good quarterback to come into the NFL out of the college ranks since Burrow and Herbert in 2020. It's 2 straight drafts, complete whiffs, and everybody's
those guys were good, but Trevor Lawrence was. I mean, he was considered the best prospect since Elway. Andrew Luck had crap in Indy. Yeah. No offensive line. Ryan Grigson would not spend the draft capital, the money, the offensive line. Andrew Luck got into the playoffs. I believe got into the AFC Championship game against Brady. Trevor Lawrence, I watched him today in the Monday morning. Us West Coasters got up early. Just missing wide open guys. It's It's a problem, and I know they're the Jaguars, back-to-back first overall picks. Excuse me, but Travis Etienne, 24 carries for $156, 6.5 yards a carry.
They got
today.
the weapons. I watched.
They're like they have players.
Yeah. Offensive line's pretty good. Everything about that team says, and I remember seeing earlier in this week, they're 7th in DVOA, Jacksonville. They're expected to be like 5-3 or 6-2 at this point. 7th, ahead of really good teams. They're right
They're
neck
not
and neck
bad
with Philly.
at all.
Yeah. The weakness is at quarterback, and at this point, season 2 of their careers, Mahomes was winning an MVP, Jackson was winning an MVP, Burrow was going to the Super Bowl, Herbert was being talked about as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and Trevor Lawrence is, I believe he's 5-20 now as a starter. We have a crisis in Jacksonville. That's Joey's Jack and the Bum of the Week. Let's head over to week 9, put week 8 in the rearview mirror, and let's guess some lines here. We're going to start with Thursday night with possibly the best team in the NFC, Philadelphia, traveling to Houston. Houston is just so bad. I put this as Philadelphia minus 9.5 on Thursday. What do you got?
I believe did I have Philly minus 9.5? What did I have?
You had 12.5 according to your official submission just before the deadline. It is 9.5. I did hit that one on the nose. You thought it would be a little bit higher. I feel like this is a stay away game. It's not necessarily a trap game for Philly, but are they going to really blow the doors off Houston on a short week? This is a game I would definitely stay away from. It's not the game that Philly's going to lose their undefeated record on, but the motivation on a Thursday at Houston, I believe they have Dallas the week after that. They're not going to be throwing everything they have at them at this point. Let's go.
I thought Houston would be better than what they are.
You had high hopes for Davis Mills?
I didn't have high hopes, but I thought Davis Mills would be. He wasn't bad last year. Out of all those, we talked about those 5 first rounders. He was better than all 5.
Which is, I think that's as stinging an indictment of last year's quarterback class. Davis Mills was not even on the radar. And yeah, he kind of has outperformed all of them to this point. Mac Jones did make the playoffs last year, but pretty shocking. Let's pivot to the 10 a.m. Sunday games on the West Coast, 1 p.m. East Coast. Chargers at Atlanta. We had a big discrepancy here. I said Chargers -2. What did you go with?
I had Chargers minus 7.5.
That is way off, but I get where you're going there. It is Chargers -3. Atlanta probably should have lost today. I think they deserved the loss. They got away with one, but that just feels like one of those teams that we've seen them in previous years, like Washington with Heineke. These teams that just are not very good, but they're always in every game, and they're like so frisky. There's no way you can bet against them. But I was kind of surprised to see that at 3 when you had the guess at 7.5. Maybe we look the Chargers' way this week coming off of a bye. One more game let's get to, Miami at Chicago. I am all in on Miami at this point. I had them at -4 at Chicago. Chicago coming off a big loss at Dallas.
Yeah, I had Miami -2.5. I love Mike McDaniel, as you know, big Mike McDaniel on this podcast, but they've kind of slowed off their 3-0 start. I'm not super in love with what they've been doing the last couple of weeks, but Chicago
defense is shaky.
Defense a lot shaky. Chicago, I know they lost big to Dallas today, but they seem to have found something at least with Justin Fields, a little bit with the running ability he's got. I got Miami -2.5.
So it ended up being Miami -3.5. I think that's about right. I feel like Miami's a significantly better team with a really good offensive coach. I've been kind of impressed with Chicago's coaching staff taking over there, Eberflus. Fields has looked so much better this year than he did last year under Matt Nagy. Let's head over to Carolina at Cincy. I thought Carolina, obviously they should have won the game today, but that's 2 straight performances from them where they've been way above expectation. I think this is a letdown spot. I said Cincinnati minus 11 at home against Carolina.
I like Cincy. I don't like him that much. I got him Cincy minus 6.5. I think Jamar Chase being out is a giant problem for their offense. And I really I know Carolina hasn't, didn't win today. They're not, big on apparently winning this year, team tank, but I really like their defense. So I like Cincinnati minus 6.5. I'm interested to see what they look like tomorrow against Cleveland. I think Jamar Chase being out is a big problem.
So that's going to be interesting. It's Cincinnati minus 8.5 in that game, so more than a touchdown. Tomorrow is going to go a long way toward determining whether Cincinnati belongs anywhere near the conversation with Kansas City and Buffalo. If they blow the doors off Cleveland on the road tomorrow without Jamar Chase, I will shut up about Zach Taylor for a little bit. I'm as harsh a critic as that guy as anybody, and only partly because I lost about 1 million parlays last year that ended with Kansas City beating the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. I think he's just not a very good coach, but I mean, if Burrow continues to play the way he did last week when he just went absolutely apeshit in the first half, I think Cincinnati belongs in that conversation. We'll see how they do tomorrow. Next game, Green Bay coming off pretty listless performance in Buffalo. I thought they would come out with a little more fight than they did. They were basically out of it from the get-go. They're going to Detroit. I had that at Green Bay minus 3.5 at Detroit.
I got a Green Bay minus 5.5. Rodgers owns the Lions. Doesn't matter the names on the back of the jersey, doesn't matter who's playing for who. Rodgers without Devontae, Rodgers with Devontae, doesn't matter. I think Green Bay wins pretty easily.
I think so too. It's 3.5. I think Green Bay is probably a decent bet there, minus 3.5. The Lions, every game I watch, they just come out flying. They got so much energy, and then the defense just completely falls apart. So if this isn't the get right game for the Packers, they are absolutely cooked. They got to win.
If they weren't done after today at 3-5, they're put them in the freezer because they're done if they lose next week.
Oh, without a doubt. New England hosting Indianapolis next week. Sam Ehlinger, I watched him today, was not impressed at all. Obviously, Matt Ryan is probably done. I don't necessarily agree with the decision to bench him at this point. Indy's offense looks awful no matter who's at quarterback. I had New England minus 3.5 at home against Indy. Who do you have?
Same. Patriots minus 3.5.
So I saw that this opened at 5.5. It immediately went to 6.5, like instantly after they posted it. I think everybody's looking at that and saying Indy's offense is bad. Let's go with the Pats. But as we saw in that game against Chicago on Monday Night Football last week, Patriots are prone to laying an egg when they have such a non-dynamic offense. That's one. It's more of a zig against the public perception rather than something that I actually think is going to happen. But Indy is a game I circled. Buffalo at the Jets. Buffalo can basically put it in autopilot at this point, I think, and win by double digits in most games. I had them minus 10 in this one.
Yeah, me pretty close, minus 9.5. Yeah,
Zach Wilson is, I mean, he needs to bang a couple more moms before the next game to have any hope. I mean, he came out of the gates flying. His teammates are wearing his T-shirt. They're like, "Oh, we love this guy." I think he was 3-0 in his first 3 starts this year, and I'm like, "Wow, this dude, he did something a little rash in the offseason, but he got the team around him." And then I watched today's game. I was like, that is a dude who is completely lost. I mean, three picks, two of which were just, he was trying to throw it away and they were caught by the other team. It was so bad.
The problem is those moms he's seeing are also seeing Josh Allen, and Josh Allen is that dude, and he's a problem. And yeah. What do they say?
Yeah.
Bills
Oh,
by a million? Yeah.
yeah.
Buffalo minus 9.5.
Yeah, it's 10.5. We were both in the neighborhood there. That's a stay away. Buffalo's probably going to win and probably going to win big, but that's one where like a late touchdown might affect the spread. Raiders at Jacksonville, probably the two most disappointing teams of Week 8. Now they're meeting in Jacksonville. The Raiders, I was so in on them today. I was like, oh yeah,
Me too.
Dennis Allen, he's gonna get crushed. This guy's incompetent. The Raiders could not have looked worse today. Because of that,
They look
I got
pathetic.
Jacksonville favored in this game. I got Jacksonville -1.
I have, despite the pathetic performance by the Raiders, I have them minus 1.5.
So it is Raiders -1.5. I was absolutely stunned when I saw that one. How can you be favored on the road after that performance? I guess the odds makers looked at Trevor Lawrence and said, we cannot make that guy a favorite.
Well, the Raiders should be better than their record. Today was abysmal. Today, I believe, was already the second post-game call into my office from Mark Davis to Josh McDaniels after, was it week 8 today? I think it's already number 2. I think he had one when they were 0-3 or 0-4, whatever they were.
Yeah.
And they were awful today. Derek Carr was awful. Devontae Adams looks.
He had one catch for 3 yards.
Yeah,
passing of the torch, baby.
And the one guy that they were like
officially the best wide receiver in the NFL. Sorry, Devontae.
The one guy that they were playing in, I remember playing in the Hall of Fame game against those Jaguars, was Josh Jacobs. And Josh Jacobs has been balling. Josh Jacobs has been a stud. Derek Carr looks like he's regressed severely. Devontae, I thought it was the other way around. I thought Rodgers missed Devontae. Devontae might miss Rodgers. It's the Saints. The Saints gave up like how much to Arizona last week?
Yeah.
Not good. Not good at all for the Raiders. But again, they're more talented than Jaguars. That's why I went with the Raiders. I think just the way the people bet, Trevor Lawrence, my jack in the bum of the week. Not great either.
Might
be a home game for the Raiders. Don't know.
We're going to the 1:00 window. This is the game that we'll get to later in my You Like That 5 picks of the week. Arizona at home against Seattle. I had it Arizona -1.5. What do you have?
Pretty close. I got Arizona -1.
So this just hit the wire. Arizona -4. Probably the strangest line I have seen all year. And I'm trying to think, is it public perception of the Seahawks is that they're going to drop off at some point? I mean, I keep watching the Seahawks and saying, oh, maybe this is the week they fall off, and they're just not falling off. They have a great ground game. Geno Smith still over 70% completion. He had some throws to Tyler Lockett today, one of which was dropped, that were just absolute fucking dimes. Just like 40-yard bomb on the nose. And I'm like, why would Arizona be favored by 4 at home? First of all, there's going to be a lot of Seahawks fans at that game. We are all over Seattle +4 there, I think.
Yes. If it is Arizona -4, yes, absolutely. Seattle +4. I have absolutely no reason to believe in the Arizona Cardinals. Geno Smith is balling. I don't know if it was Pete Carroll. I believe it was Tyler Lockett after the game today. Said a quote, again, I'm going to get it wrong, but I believe he said something like, it's amazing what we can do when not one single person is taking credit for the team. And I'm like, Russ, Geno is balling. As much as I hate Seattle, there's something, again, I said last week, is so pure, so organic, so addictive that those guys have got this just FU mentality, like this team. It's everything we love about team sports, and it is rolling. Kenneth Walker, stud. Charles Cross, their first-round tackle, stud. They seem to have hit, their picks this year.
They got a couple really good corners now.
God forbid Denver keeps losing a bit. They're going to get a super high draft pick next year. It's all fun and games until the NFC West foes, Seattle Seahawks, turn this bad boy around uber quickly, and yeah, but I hate Arizona. They suck.
Next game in the 1 p.m. Pacific window, a game that I would imagine this is a game that Fox early in the season said, we have to protect this game. We can't let NBC get this game. Rams at Tampa Bay, which now looks like a battle of dumpster fires. I had it at Tampa Bay -1 in a game that everyone had circled on their calendar, and now it looks like it's like a loser leaves town matchup. Like whoever loses this game is mortally wounded.
I got it Rams -1.5 for none other reason than I think Tampa has just already checked out. Between the whole head coach, like I read today the way Tom Brady forced out Bruce Arians and then went with it's totally blanking on me, the guy.
Todd Bowles.
Yeah. Seems like it's not going well.
No.
It's just he can't they lost Shaq Barrett for the year. They're so banged up on the offensive line. But who knows? I don't know. I just realized right now, talking out loud, that I made that line pick with not knowing what Cooper Kupp's status is. I mean, the Rams, Sean McVay, down 17 in the fourth quarter with under a minute left, decided to throw a screen pass to Cooper Kupp. That was super. Well, he might have got a high ankle sprain or something, so we'll see what his availability is next week. But yeah, it's the loser bowl, unfortunately. Yeah, it's supposed to be a really good game, but no, it.
So I think Vegas thinks that Cooper Kupp may miss this game. It's Tampa Bay -2.5, which might look at the Rams in that spot if there's any inkling that Kupp is going to play. Tampa on the downslide. Rams were competitive today in the first half, and I was like, this is looking like the old McVay Rams.
Allen Robinson actually played today. And
yeah, he's off the milk carton. Tennessee at Kansas City on Sunday night
Matthew Stafford threw it to somebody with some darker pigment.
For the first time all season. I keep seeing those TikToks that it's like Matthew Stafford's dream team, and it's like a guy who drafts all white wide receivers. I'm like, that seems about right. He's like, why throw it to Allen Robinson, who's been to like multiple Pro Bowls, when you can get it to Ben Skoranek? You know?
Although I will say Allen Robinson had a terrible unsportsmanlike taunting penalty, caught a first down pass. And we don't like to see that unnecessary roughness against Talanoa Hufanga. Nice guy, good guy for the team. You know, it's a family show, boys. Please keep it to yourselves. Hands and arms inside the ride. Back it up 15, Alan. Sorry, but he did participate in the American game of football today.
Yeah, for the first time all season. Tennessee at Kansas City, Sunday Night Football next week. This is a game that I thought would be a blowout, but I've seen Tennessee this year kind of do what they did last year, just sneaking along. Henry's getting going. Tannehill was out today. They still won comfortably. I had Kansas City -7.5 in this game.
I got Kansas City -9.5 after what I saw last week. I could have said Kansas City -19.5 after what they did to my Niners, but I really like Tennessee. I love what Mike Vrabel's been doing last few years. We'll see who's playing at quarterback, but yeah, Derrick Henry. I mean, I know a couple years ago, the year that they won the Super Bowl, they played Tennessee in the AFC Championship, and Tennessee was, I believe, had a double-digit lead in that game. I run the ball. They have the formula to beat Kansas City, but at Arrowhead, Sunday Night Football could possibly be your rookie quarterback. I don't like that at all for Tennessee against Patrick Mahomes.
I think that's why it's Kansas City -10.5 is the actual line. There's probably a decent chance that Malik Willis starts that game. Yes, Tannehill's got an ankle issue and an illness. If he, I
don't know why I'm saying a rookie quarterback. Even if Tannehill does start, it's not like he's a world beater.
Yeah, it's not like you're throwing prime Johnny Unitas out there. Monday Night Football next week. Baltimore at New Orleans. I'm on Baltimore -3 there. What are you looking at?
I got Baltimore -1.5.
So it is 3.5. I thought that was like a little bit much given how New Orleans played today. I lean Baltimore still. That game on Thursday night again after watching like Nathaniel Hackett and Lovie Smith and all these incompetent coaches, it really makes me appreciate like what a John Harbaugh is worth to a team. Just a dude whose teams are always prepared. They're always prepared. And
Just got a
Baltimore
lot
just
of guys that know where they're supposed to be. What a concept.
what a concept. I watched
Yeah,
that Denver game
good
and
coach. Yeah, my players
oh,
know what the play is.
Denver today had a delay a game on a kickoff and a punt, and not like I'm at the opponent 45, I'll take the 5. Like we're trying to punt at our own 25, and we had a delay a game, and then they score a touchdown, and on the ensuing kickoff, they got a delay a game on the kickoff. I'm like, if Denver lost that game, Hackett would have been fired. Like, how does that happen? Horrendous.
I've defended him a little bit just because a lot like the Niners, like Jimmy, like Kyle gets so much heat, sometimes for like play calls, decisions, or whatever. And like you actually look at the play and it's like, wow, Jimmy, there's 2 guys running wide open and he just doesn't see them. I've defended Hackett with that so far with Russ, like, like week 1 against Seattle, they kicked that 64-yarder. And it's like, well, hindsight, like maybe Russ just ain't that guy at the time. And they're like, Brandon McManus has got a leg. He's been kicking in Denver. He's been a pretty good kicker in Seattle. Might as well take the chance. Russ, that Thursday night game against the Colts, just doesn't see KJ Hamler. But today, the interview at halftime, I don't know if you saw the interview at halftime with ESPN's Laura Rutledge. She asked him, what do you see from the way he answered the questions? He looked nervous. He looked like he didn't want to like say anything bad about his team. He looked awkward. And the Melvin Gordon thing too. He was like, Melvin Gordon was complaining. He was like, oh, I don't know why I'm not playing. Like, I should be the starter. And then Hackett came out and said, oh no, I love Melvin. Melvin's going to start next week, even though he clearly benched it. He looks like he's trying to people please, put out every fire that could be that, he just doesn't want to be that bad cop, whatever. I don't know what
and the team's sloppy because of it.
Yeah, exactly. I said 10. I texted you 10 penalties, 10 accepted penalties in the first. How's that even possible? How's it?
Yeah.
How is that possible? But hey, they won, so he's got another week. I know
Congrats.
midweek they were saying if he didn't win that he might be on the outs, but we'll see. He's got another week.
Yeah. Oof, he bought himself another week. Last game, we always end with our teams. The Niners are on a bye. Vikings are at Washington and the fighting Taylor Heineke's. I got Vikings -2.5 in that game.
I got Vikings -3.5.
So it is Vikings -3. We split the difference there. This is a game I'm worried about that I wouldn't have been 2 weeks ago. Heineke, 2 games, 2 fourth quarter comebacks to win it. His teammates just love the guy, and it seems to be a team that like they're playing for Ron Rivera, they're playing for Heineke. They hate the owner, and it's like nobody believes in us. We can do it on our own. Sneaky little team there in Washington. I am kind of nervous going into that game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look out Carson Wentz because Taylor Heineke has got the boys going. 2 weeks in a row. I know today, say what you want about the Colts, but big win on the road. Yeah, it's a game the Vikings should win. I mean, they are dramatically more talented than Washington. The game I believe is in Washington. Yeah, it's in Washington. Yeah. But it is a 10 a.m. game, so that benefits Kirk. Big 10 a.m. guy on the West Coast.
I heard Bill Simmons say this on his podcast this week. Kirk Cousins is the best quarterback in the NFL when he's on like the 5th screen at Buffalo Wild Wings. Like that's a good analogy in the football universe. If he's on, 125 Pacific Fox game of the week, if he's on Sunday or Monday or Thursday night football, you are worried. But if it's 10 a.m., and there's a couple better games like today. He's playing against Arizona. Like, not a lot of people watching that game. Fucking lights the world on fire. That is Kirk in a nutshell. Probably in line for a decent game there. Quick recap of the Niners and Vikings at this point. I feel good. Looking forward to Washington because we have to have that one. After that, we go at Buffalo. We've already had our bye. We probably have to win the Washington game if we have any thoughts of, oh, we're going to be the number one seed and get home field advantage, because Philly's schedule is so easy. The Niners are going into their bye. You got to be hoping that they get healthy, come out of the bye flying. Do you think that the ceiling for them is still winning multiple playoff games, or are we just trying to go week by week at this point?
I got the Niners minus 3.5 that somebody doesn't get hurt during the bye week. That's what I'm most worried about. Yeah, I mean, biggest thing in the immediate, future is get healthy. Eric Armstead, sadly, our run defense is severe. I have not been the biggest Armstead guy over the years, being a big DeForest Buckner guy. The time they moved him, they basically chose Armstead over Buckner, factoring in the salary. Armstead he's been very good especially second half last year. This year, our run defense has suffered severely because of him. Sounds like he's got pretty chronic plantar fasciitis on his foot. I don't know he'll be back after, but hopefully
I got chronic plantar fasciitis from playing pickleball. It's not fun.
Especially when you're 6'7", 300, I'm assuming Eric Armstead can't be very fun. Debo.
I am also almost 6'7" and almost 300 pounds. So yeah, I feel
it's super good to know we got NFL athletes on this pod. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Debo, hopefully hamstring. Never know. Again, not a bone issue. Muscle. What's going on? He finished the Chiefs game. Don't know what happened. Juszczyk, broken finger. Hopefully he'll be back. Dre Greenlaw, our linebackers have been with him out. Azeez Al-Shaair out. Yeah, I mean, we need to get healthy, but yeah.
Put every guy on the team in a hyperbaric chamber for 10 days. That's the move.
Yeah, something. I don't cancel practice. I don't care. Go to Topgolf. I don't care. Just do not get hurt. In fact, don't go to Topgolf because you probably will get hurt.
Yeah, they'll trip walking up the stairs to the second floor.
I don't know. No, I mean, honestly, if they're somewhat healthy, I believe the ceiling is win the division and win a playoff game or two. I believe they're that good. When they're healthy, their offensive line has been better than what I've expected this year, except for the right tackle. Big Mike, you've been a turnstile at right tackle, but that's okay. Emmanuel Mosley's the one torn ACL, done for the year. Oh. That hurt because contract year, he's been lights out ever since he took over that role. Really, the year of the Super Bowl year, a couple of years ago, when he filled in for Kella Witherspoon. I remember when we played your Vikings at Levi's and he gave up that touchdown to Diggs, and I remember texting you and everyone I know, get him off the field. And Emmanuel Mosley's and they did, and Emmanuel Mosley's not let that role go since then. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe they get Jason Verrett. They activated him off the PUP. See if they get him back. But our next game is in 2 weeks, Sunday Night Football against the Chargers, the offseason champs of every year, except they don't actually win during the regular season. But yeah, Justin Herbert. I think Mike Williams probably be out the game. I mean, who knows if the second best Bosa brother is playing? We'll see. It should be a good one. Then after that, I think we get Monday Night Football against the fighting Kyler Murray Call of Duty people.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's in Mexico City.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah, that'll be a good one. Niners kind of had to have that one going into the bye. If you would have gone in at 3-5, it would have been worrying. Had to have it, and they got it, and they played great in the second half. Let's take a look at some other stories around the sports world that we've been following before we get to my picks and your feels great, baby. If the World Series is happening and no one's watching it,
didn't know
is it actually happening? I mean, I've never seen less interest in a World Series than I have for this one. I'm on social media and I follow a million baseball people and a million football people. And there's just, it's like it's not even happening. It's the at MLB account and then like Ken Rosenthal and whatever that I see. There's no like just general talk about it. I did watch a little bit of game 2. Astros dominated. The game 1 was supposedly actually a really great game with the Phillies comeback, but my thing I wanted to bring up is when was the last time we saw like an America's team in baseball the way everybody's rooting for the Phillies in this one? Like, if you are watching, you're hate watching because you want to see the Phillies beat the Astros. Everyone I've talked to about it, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll probably watch. I just want to see Houston lose."
Yeah, it's interesting you bring this up because I thought about it today. And you are definitely a much bigger baseball fan than me
Mm-hmm.
now. But years ago, baseball used to be my favorite sport. My parents, we used to have A season tickets, used to watch every game, 9 innings. You know, it was the thing to do in the summer. You play your baseball
Mm-hmm.
game, whatever you're doing in high school, little league, whatever. You watch the A's. If you're out here, A's, Giants fan, wherever you are in the United States of America, you watch baseball. Now, I think I may watch it. I don't know if I watched a total of 9 innings of baseball the entire season, and and I often wonder why, because you know, and the only reason I can come up with is it's just everything is a walk, a strikeout, or a home run, and like people love home runs, but the more you hit, the more diluted it gets. The strikeouts, it's not what I love. There's no hit and run. There's no there's no stolen base. The rules with the
Nope.
pitching.
Doubles and triples. Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, shot in the gap. Like, here we go, wave them in. No, that doesn't happen. The shift, just everything. It's not what I loved. I mean, no one talks about it. No one, whether you're at work, at friends on TV. You look at TV, whatever you're watching, whether you watch, First Take, Undisputed, you watch, NBC, you watch whatever your show of podcast. If you don't watch or listen to a baseball show or podcast, they're not
Mm-hmm.
talking about baseball.
It's
And
never been at a lower point because it's been baseball was America's sport until about the early 80s when it kind of transferred over to football. For whatever reason, it's at its lowest point because it's the most regionalized sport. Like everybody in Philadelphia loves the Phillies. Everybody in Houston loves the Astros. Nobody else cares. And it's really shocking. Like even if it would have been their dream matchup of Dodgers Yankees, that still is probably not moving the needle enough if you had Jacksonville Denver on Sunday Night Football against game 3 of the World Series, it's going to do 5 times the ratings. And it's not necessarily just because the NFL is this juggernaut. It's because the interest in baseball nationally, for whatever reason, because of the new way the game is played, because of, MLB.TV kind of regionalizing the way you can watch baseball, the national interest is completely gone. And I think that's been a detriment to what
I
used to be my favorite sport too.
I don't know. I hear a lot like, oh, whether it's the TV provider, your local regional network, MLB.TV or whatever, like, oh, they make it so hard to watch baseball. And like, maybe I'm naive, but like, there's a lot of baseball games available to me with what I, pay for with Comcast. Maybe people don't have, Comcast, ESPN. I do. I love my TV. I pay for a lot of streaming. I pay, but like, it's not that hard to watch a baseball game if you really wanted to watch a baseball game. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like football could cancel everything and go to Apple TV. I would buy Apple TV tomorrow, like immediately. Baseball could go to whatever. I'm not buying. I don't care. It's people will find out. People will watch what they want to watch, and people just don't want to watch baseball. And my personal reason is just personally being a big at the time being a big A's fan, I mean, I got eventually sick and tired of like just move the fucking team. Like you keep telling me you're moving, you keep telling me all this stuff. Like, as you know, Dave Cavill, like going to Vegas, like just stop playing with me and just move the fucking team already. Like I can't take it. I can't the whole like rooted in Oakland. Give me a break. Just move. Like just stop playing with me. Like
Get a new
I
stadium in Oakland, sell the team, or
well
move
didn't
the
yesterday
team.
you know
There's
more than
three
me
moves.
again.
Yeah.
Didn't Manfred yesterday say like the A's are not going to be in Oakland?
So there was a firestorm on Twitter about that. He did not say that, but Fox Sports MLB tweeted that he said that. What he said was,
That's
it's
what I read because I didn't actually
yeah.
read it because I don't. But yeah, I read that.
He
through
said
text.
it's not looking good at the moment, but he never said it's look. He never said the words Las Vegas. He never said the team is moving to Las Vegas, but he said it's not looking good with the Oakland city government at the moment. I think it is extremely likely that John Fisher either sells the team or looks into moving it to Las Vegas and starts that process like before next season starts. Um, Clearly, the guy does not want to own a baseball team. He just wants to buy land in Oakland or Las Vegas and turn it into a mall that happens to have a baseball stadium there. Fuck that guy. He's like, I'm the biggest A's fan in the world. He's ruining this thing that me and my family have connected over for since I
It
was a little
is.
kid. He's ruined it, and Manfred is not helping. And I want the team to be in Oakland, but I want more than anything for the A's to just be good for an extended period of time, and they can't with this owner. So, fuck that guy.
Feel good,
He's just
baby.
a clown. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I don't. It just. I don't know. I hate to be like that older version of myself that becomes more jaded with sports and realizes that this isn't just a bunch of guys playing a game that's all super fun and woohoo, we're here to win and go team and it's a business. But boy, your owner and the way your owner views the team and how he wants to spend the money on the team matters so much into whether or not your favorite team in any sport actually wins anything ever.
so true. We and when we were 15 years old, we didn't realize this. We're like, let's go win, guys. And now we're like,
You're
no,
like,
our owners.
why did my favorite player leave?
Yeah,
And then
I
like
don't get
your
it. And
mom
then
or
you're
dad
like,
at the
oh,
time's like, oh, like they'll replace him. It'll be, just whatever.
everything's
And
going to be
now it's
fine.
like they didn't want to pay him. He wanted too much money. Another owner gave him the key to the city, a no movement clause, and free M&Ms the rest of his career. I don't know. Like it's just, and all these other teams
Devastating.
too. Like we have an internal budget like the A's. Like it just, I don't know. It's just it's just. At least it's not the NBA. Can we talk about the Lakers? That makes me
Oh,
feel
my
fired up.
God.
The Lakers,
What a tire
the
fire.
fighting Brooklyn Ben Simmons
Oh, my God.
closed door meeting last night, I believe, after their big fat L to the Pacers. I saw on Twitter.
Here's another thing. In baseball, all the discussion is about,
I
you
still
know,
want baseball to be fun. I still
that's what I'm,
want to watch. I want to watch baseball.
the
You could
discussion
not
about
pay
baseball is
me. You
always,
could not pay me to watch the NBA.
that's what I'm saying. The World Series has little interest. People are like, the game is slow, the game is whatever. The discussion with NBA basketball right now is solely on Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook, LeBron. There's no,
Why is
and
everyone so
the
unhappy
drama.
in the
Yeah,
NBA?
it's only drama
You are
and
making
nothing
so much
basketball.
money and no one is happy
I mean,
except for the
everyone's
Warriors.
miserable. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's only because they got an owner that's willing to pay 300 plus million a year for the team
I
to,
love that.
I mean,
I
oh,
love that so much. I don't care. Tax, I don't care. We're here to win. And he's been rewarded. That's the thing.
yeah,
I believe Forbes just came out Warriors most valuable franchise in the NBA. You got to pay to play.
shocking. Yeah,
But
he's doing it better than anybody. I
I
mean, but that's the thing is like, other than the Warriors, every story that comes out of the NBA right now is, Kyrie Irving had an anti-Semitic tweet.
Kyrie Irving did another thing the next day. Kyrie Irving did
Yeah.
another different thing.
Oh, And then Russell Westbrook, he's going to have to come off the bench. It's like, no shit, he can't play. Like, I mean,
everyone
man,
just
the drama.
refuses to come off the bench. People are talking about,
Ben Simmons pulls up from 3 in like a street basketball game for charity and misses by a mile. And that's the story of the week. It's like so funny.
And you know what? I will throw the NBA a little bit of a bone because I think it was the last week. The Warriors played Phoenix, I believe, on TNT. And I was like, oh, I like TNT, Shaq, Chuck, and whatever. Warriors, Phoenix, big game. And it was like a good game. You saw all of a sudden you see Clay and Devin Booker going out. I'm like, okay, this has some juice. This isn't just a load management Thursday night in the middle of October that no one cares about. Like Kawhi Leonard already missing games for load. We're already managing our load. It's been like 2 weeks. Like, golly, you take a family of 4, God forbid, a father and his kid, a mother and her son, whatever you want to, grandpa and granddaughter, I don't care who it is. You pay all that money to go to a game and you get to see that star X, Y, and Z is managing his load, and he's not. Oh my God! Like, just
crushing.
Stop it. I watched the game, and it was Booker and Clay are going at it. Klay Thompson, by the way, might be my favorite NBA player. Would love to just hang out with that guy. But and then they toss Klay Thompson. They toss Klay Thompson. The one game that actually seems like it's got some juice. They're like, "Excuse me, family show. You're out of here, Klay." And I'm like, immediately turn the channel. I'm like, under zero circumstances, I don't care if he said he would murder your family. You cannot throw Klay Thompson out of the game.
Yeah, you're taking all the joy out of it. And of course, the game just completely unraveled from that point. No reason to watch it. That was rough. We'll tune back in May when the Warriors are in the conference final.
I was gonna say I can't wait to see the follow up in June.
Yeah, let's.
I'll take my talents to live golf before I watch the NBA.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the live golf. I can't believe it's even on the ESPN app now, showing like the scores.
I heard Fox picked it up too.
No. Fox was offered the games.
Oh, they did.
Live was going to pay them to broadcast the games. The other way around.
Hockey, like the NHL model, where the NHL pays ESPN to put.
You pay to have your games on a network. I'm like, that's not how it works. But I digress. Let's head over to my You Like That 5 picks of the week. I take the lines that Joey and I guessed. I look at the actual lines, and we come up with our best 5 picks. So obviously, number 1, Seahawks +4. I've already actually bet that before we started the pod. I was like, I have to have that because I know that's going way down. Obvious reasons there. Geno's on fire. Seahawks running game's on fire. Not a big believer in Cliff and Kyler. This is not a Cliff and Kyler podcast.
I mean, do you need any other reason other than Call of Duty just came out? Kyler's big. You know what I will say? You know what I will watch before I watch the NBA or like anything? In season Hard Knocks, Arizona Cardinals. We get to watch them implode.
You get to watch that jawing match between Cliff and Kyler on Thursday night last week and the fallout from that.
What did he say?
Cliff just gives up. Yeah. Cliff is just like, I can't yell at him because then everybody's going to be like, it's a fight, it's a whatever between. And so he's just there like, okay, Kyler, okay, whatever. Just so dysfunctional.
Well, you saw the game today. The pick he threw in the fourth quarter, he goes to the sideline. Fox had the camera on him because they know what's going on, and he's just like pounding his helmet, I'm just like, this is dude. I don't know. He
just rage quit in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is what he did.
Yeah, he just raged. Yeah, exactly.
Pick number 2. We're going with the Chargers -3. Joey, you had it at -7.5. Obviously, that was off by quite a bit. But the reason it was off is because the Chargers are so much more talented than Atlanta. Atlanta clearly probably better coached, but we're going to roll with the Chargers -3 because you were off by that amount. I mean, clearly Herbert is going to be better than Mariota.
Although Atlanta can run the ball, and the Chargers, they don't have a good run defense, so we'll see.
That seems like a low-scoring game to me. I don't know. Atlanta's going to sell out everything to try to stop Herbert down the field, especially if
Atlanta's pass defense is terrible.
Yeah,
but
they got
wouldn't
problems.
know. The Niners wouldn't know. Jimmy didn't do anything about that. We wouldn't know.
You're back on the rails. You got to put the Atlanta loss in the rearview mirror. Third pick, we're going Jacksonville +1.5, hosting the Raiders. I kind of think the Raiders are toast after what I saw today. Completely lifeless. As you said, McDaniels is 8 games into his Raiders career. He's had 2 closed-door meetings with the owner. I am taking Jacksonville after that, no matter how bad Trevor Lawrence looked today. And then we're both taking a flyer here. This is our 4th pick, Indianapolis plus 6.5. We both had the game at 3.5. It's at New England. Obviously, Indy's offense is awful, and against all odds, we're going to take Indy here. 6.5 does seem like a lot for Mac Jones, who didn't exactly light the world on fire today. The only reason the Patriots won that game by as much as they did is Zach Wilson kept giving the ball away. We're going to roll with Indy. God help us. And then the last pick, this was a tough one. We really didn't have any other options here. We're rolling with your boy Joey B, minus 8.5. Cincinnati minus 8.5 at home against Carolina. They should roll in that one, but we'll see tomorrow how he does at Cleveland before we lay that bet down. But that's our number 5 pick of the week. What do you think?
Yep. I'm very interested to see what the Bengals do tomorrow without Jamar Chase, because, again, I'm no X's and O's expert on the football field. That's why I'm, just a fat guy behind this mic on a podcast. But from what I've read, their offense pretty much is man-to-man. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, win one-on-one down the field, and without Jamar Chase, do they double T. Higgins and, Tyler Boyd? We'll see. I know they should be able to run the ball with Joe Mixon, but yeah, we'll see. But Cleveland isn't good either. So,
oh man, so rough.
Cleveland was trying to hang on before Deshaun got back. Well, mission not accomplished. They did not hang on.
Yeah, they were hoping he would come back into a playoff race. He's going to come back into probably a bit of a tire fire.
He probably should just sit the season out.
I know I believe the first game he would come back is on the road, and that is going to be a carnival.
I believe his first game back is at Houston.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, the level of animosity in that game. It's gonna look like the Wilson game at Seattle, except there's going to be a lot more innuendo. I don't know.
Yeah. You'd have a really good. That's a good debate for a podcast. What trade was worse, the Deshaun or the Russell Wilson? I don't know.
Oh God! At this point, you got to. I mean, Wilson's the leader in the clubhouse, but if Deshaun comes out and plays well for 5 games at the end of the season,
the sad thing. You're right. The sad thing about Deshaun is if he does come back and play well, the way people just love and think about sports, they will not care about what happened off the field. They will not care.
And the Cleveland fans will just
if he comes back, throws 3 touchdowns against the Texans and they roll, no matter what their record is, you can't tell me that Browns fans will be like, "Oh, we'll see you 2023, baby. Dog pound is back." Yeah, they will. That'll absolutely be a thing.
And that's the NFL in a nutshell. What is your feels great baby moment of the week? Your take that you feel best about at the moment. I just gave my you like that 5 picks of the week. What's your feels great baby?
I don't know if I officially went on record with this last week, but no, I texted it to you. But my pick of the Rams, Bucks, and Packers all missing the playoffs, I feel pretty great about that. I feel like they will all miss the playoffs.
Whew. That's the GOAT, the back-to-back MVP, and the defending Super Bowl champions all missing the playoffs.
And I try and think about it, but what is their path to get there?
Mm-hmm.
The Rams, how are they going to win the division? They're already down. They got swept by the Niners.
Mm-hmm.
They're already down, I believe, 2 games to Seattle. Maybe Cooper Kupp misses a game. The Packers, they're not winning the division. They're several games behind the wild card to Dallas and the Giants and I guess Tampa is the one team I guess could win the division, but that is 50-50 at best, as crazy as that is. I mean, I think they could win the division, but the last division game they played, they lost 21-3 to Carolina, and they're trying to lose.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's my what I thought was a hot take that now is turning into quite a lukewarm, reasonable take.
It's unbelievable.
That 3 out of the 4 teams that were in the divisional round last year in the NFC are not going to make the playoffs.
And I believe the order of betting favorites in the NFC to win the NFC when the season started was Tampa, Green Bay, Rams in that order. Those were 1, 2, 3, and then it was down. Yeah, insane. And they're not only do they all have losing records, they've actually probably looked worse.
They looked worse than their record.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the Tampa games have been lifeless. The Rams cannot block, and all those years of trading away top picks has cost them. And then the Packers, when the Vikings dominated them week 1, I was like, that's as good a performance as I've seen from us. I'm all in on O'Connell. And then week 2, the Packers just crushed the Bears. And I'm like, okay, it was just a week 1 blip, like when they lost against New Orleans the season before in their opener. And then it's just been an absolute nosedive from there. I like your take there. I think, like you said, if one of those teams makes it, it's Tampa, just because their division sucks, not because of anything positive we've seen from them to this point.
No Shaq Barrett. Their offensive line is in shambles. Tom might retire tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh. I don't know.
Not good.
The Rams, again, I mean, they didn't look good anyway, but holy smokes, if you're a Rams fan, if you lose Cooper Kupp for more than a week, that's a huge problem. And the Packers are what did the years ago? What did the Odell Beckham bye week boat trip? That's what they're going on.
Oh,
that's what the Packers.
Oh my God, devastating.
Rogers is going to say something on the Pat McAfee show this week. He'll be whose fault was it this week? Because it sure wasn't mine.
He's going to take some ayahuasca before the podcast and just let her rip.
Who knows? Maybe they do high knees. We don't know. We'll high knee it over to the Pat McAfee show.
Anything happen this week outside of sports for you that you want to bring up before we get out of Dodge and close up shop here on our second episode of the podcast?
I was talking. Today I went over to the cousin-in-laws to watch the game. You know, Mason and Jake, their house. So I was talking to their mom, and kind of football related, but she was like, I'm not really a huge football person, but I'm not gonna lie, the Brady Giselle news kind of hit me hard this week. Like I don't really care that much, but like I thought about it more than I thought I would. And it was interesting she said that, because what I was going to talk to you about is like, I felt the same way. Like, I don't really care. Like, who cares? Like, they're both super rich. Not that money is everything, at least I hope that. I mean, they were actually married 13 years, I believe, which is a lot longer than I thought it was. But I believe, despite how rich and famous they were, the rumored reason why they broke up or got divorced is so very relatable. Like, it is an argument that I have had several times with Kayla, my wife, as you know. Like, if Kayla ever made me give up sports, I could not imagine what like, if you're Tom Brady and your wife, I don't care who it is, tells you have to give up what you have loved your entire life, that is a problem. I don't care. Like, my mom, I've told my mom this. I would talk to my mom. I've had, with her, like, she'd be, because I've talked to her like about, me and Kayla were so different, like she doesn't like sports as much as I do, which is fine, but like,
right.
It's just, we're just different, And my mom's like, well, if you ever had a choice between, sports and Kayla, like, I know you love her, like, you choose Kayla. And I'm like, Mom, no, I wouldn't. I'm like, I have loved sports from the day I was born. It's what I did. It's what I did with, my dad, I don't know, your husband, Mom, like, it's what we did. My friends, my everything, like, that's what I've done. Like, if Kayla told me to give that up for her, then she's not it. And she knows that. That's why, like, she knows. And I could say the same thing for her. You know, I'm not
Mhm.
trying to be like, oh, like this is all about, Tom Brady and the male, like we love sports. But
Mhm.
like her, like if I told like she loves animals, like me, I was like, I hope they all die. I don't want a pet. I don't want a dog. I don't want a cat. I hate animals. Hate them. And she not only loves animals, she loves obscure animals like a goat, chickens. She'd love a hamster. Like forget a dog or a cat. If I ever told her like you will never ever have animals like if you're with me. Like what a terrible person, right? It's just with
Right.
anybody. Like if you're with somebody, man, woman, whatever type of relationship, if you make that person give up their first love, that is a gigantic problem. And that
Mhm.
is so relatable. Like and to see it play out in arguably the most famous celebrity
Right.
couple in terms of sports, Brady and Giselle. I mean,
Yeah.
greatest living American in Tom Brady and supermodel wife. Like it doesn't get other than Tiger Woods and whatever person he's banging that week. Like it doesn't get any bigger than that. And to see them have an issue that normal regular folk like
Right.
you, me, and whoever have. I'm not going to say I enjoyed it, but it's just like wow, like
They're just like us.
exactly. I don't know. It did hit me harder than like I thought it was. Like wow, Tom, like Giselle was like, I need you to be at home. Like, I need you to stop playing sports. And Tom was like, nah, I can't do it.
Can't give it
And I
up.
was like,
He gave
and
it
I was like,
40 days.
I know. I was like, and as bad as it is, like you said, this is like Jordan's Wizard season. Like man, Brady, like he really is. He's about that life. He's like, sports over everything. And I don't know. It's just it
This
was
is why we love Brady, but this is also why I've actually kind of learned to respect the folks who know when to call it a day because it is painful to watch. But
well, like
like,
I'm not even trying to be like a super pro Brady, like because the whole retirement thing was weird. Like he
mhm,
retired and then came back. Like it sounded like him and Giselle came up with an agreement, and then
mhm.
he was like, "Wow, I've been picking up the kids from daycare for like 2 weeks, and this blows." Like, like I miss
I could be
Wednesday
doing
morning
OTAs.
installs with
Yeah,
I miss Wednesday morning installs with Todd Bowles. Like
yeah.
I miss putting my hands under my center's ass Monday through Friday. Like it, it it's just
I could
and
play
she
catch with my kids, but the itch to throw out routes to Mike Evans is just too much. Too much
yeah
to
I
handle.
I like I don't know. It just I don't know. That's it's not nothing to do with my own personal life, but I just yeah I find it
Highly
amusing.
relatable. Yeah,
Yeah, highly relatable.
absolutely.
Went to Jack in the Box again. Shout out Jack in the Box again,
Give us your all
sponsor.
right before the last segment here before we get out of Dodge. Give us your standard Jack in the Box order.
To be honest, it's actually been a while. Like I went this week, but since we moved, there's like only one Jack in the Box with it. I used to know where every Jack in the Box was. I only know where one of them is since we moved, and it's a drive. And I went for breakfast too. But if I was going for like lunch or dinner, it's two bacon ultimate cheeseburgers,
Okay.
a large fry, a large soda, and either a jumbo jack with cheese or the uh the chicken. What do they call them? The popcorn chicken. I think that's what yeah,
Ooh.
popcorn chicken. Usually just the burgers. Jack in the Box isn't my most, I'd say, egregious thing, but yeah.
There were times we would go together to like Wingstop or McDonald's in college, and I would place my order and I'd be like, I'm ready to pig out, and it would be like $14. And then I would see you come back and set
You
your
know
receipt on the
what's
table,
so
and it'd be like $26. I would be
did
like,
you
that's not all for you, right?
did you see that thing? It was on the news. I read about it. And I think I saw it on like, I don't know, local news or I don't know, CNN or whatever. And it was that guy who was talking about inflation was talking about his Taco Bell order,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was like $28. And I'm sitting on the couch reading that like dude, my Taco Bell order was $28 like 10 years ago. Like what are you talking about, dude?
Joey's been dealing with inflation since he was a little kid. I mean, his order has always been, somewhere in the $28 range. Everybody's like, what could you possibly order for lunch at Taco Bell that would be $28? And Joey's like, yeah, if I like take out the Baja Blast and a couple other things, I would get it to 28. Sure.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Good times.
Positive, positive
Taco
week.
Taco 12 pack, whatever they call it, the taco party pack. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's a party of one for me.
Positive week all around. You got Jack in the Box. The Niners won. The Vikings won. Commanding performances. Episode 2 in the books. That was fun, man. We'll do it again next week.
This was way better than last week.
Oh, nothing better than podcasting after a win versus after getting the doors blown
Last
off
thing,
by
very,
Patrick
very,
Mahomes.
very, very last thing. Very last thing. So, like, everyone who's like remotely close to me, family and friends wise, has not only heard about this podcast, but either A, listened to it or watched it. Did you get any like significant feedback?
Oh yeah. Yeah, my uncle gave it a listen and gave me some good
Other
feedback.
than my cousin-in-law, shout out Mason, told me that this mic was backwards. Fix that problem though.
Oh yeah, we're up and running. No, it was actually great. Like a lot of people I've met through like pickleball in LA listened to it and were telling me, some things that they like, some things that they think we could work on. I'm like, it was awesome to have feedback. It's awesome to like be doing the marketing stuff that I do for work now for something that like I actually care about quite a bit. It's like interesting to see the results, see people view it on TikTok.
Eric, we care about our fans, and we got to keep our
Oh,
fans happy. And
I said last
my
week we only
dad
have
listened
one
to it,
fan.
and my dad listened to it, called me, and I was like, "This is never good. He's not gonna say anything positive." Daddy, if you're listening, I love you too, but you never say anything positive. He's like, Joe, you mumble a lot. I'm like, okay, Dad.
Just for that, I'm gonna mumble more.
I was like, but no, this podcast is going to the moon.
To the moon, baby. We'll be back next week for a week 9 recap, and then going into week 10, take a look at everything at the halfway point. Until then, I'm Eric Stenholm. He's Joey Moore. We'll be back next week for another episode of the You Like That Feels Great Baby podcast. Let's roll.